Hi, today we are going to be introducing a game called Battle of the Books. It has been sold by Sandbox. There are totally 66 cards in this game. Each card is for one book of the Bible. The game is to compare the different parameters between each books of the Bible. To understand this game, I will first show you one card. Here we see a book called Obadiah. It is an Old Testament book. We have 5 parameters, which is the rank. In this case it is rank 31. We see the year the book was written, which is 840 BC, the number of chapters in the book. We see the verses, which is 21 verses, and books written by Obadiah is 1. Now the idea is simple. The rank is as per the sequence of the Bible. Say Genesis is the first book of the Bible, so it gets rank 1, and Exodus being the second book gets the second rank, and henceforth. As far as the Old Testament, there are totally 39 books, so there are 39 ranks. In New Testament, it again starts from rank 1, which is Matthew, and ends with last rank, which is the Revelation. The year the book is written can be contradictory. For example, each scholar has his own date or his understanding of the date. Here, the most popular one has been taken and has been written. Next is the chapter. The number of chapters of the book is what has been mentioned over here. The verses is the total number of verses in the complete book. In this case, there are totally 21 verses, hence 21 verses have been mentioned. The number of books written by the author is 1, hence 1 has been mentioned in this case. Like a simple example, Paul has written 13 or 14 books and is assumed or is 100% sure that 7 books are been written. So there's a contradiction over there. Whereas in this deck, they have taken 13 books as the number of books written by the author Paul. That's the most popular number. Now, just for understanding's sake, we are going to be playing first 2 players, and then I will show you the different challenges or different confusions or different other parameters that can be used while playing this game. Usually there are 2 players minimum and can go to n number of players. You need to understand the more number of players, the less number of cards each player gets. The objective of the game is to win the maximum card. So if a player loses or finishes his deck of cards, he is out of the game. The last man standing wins. I'm taking a small set of cards. Before we distribute, it can be shuffled or it can be just distributed like that way. It depends among y'all who understands what. Here I'm dividing among 2 players. These are an extra cards I'm putting back. We'll assume this as player A and this as player B. If player A has distributed the card, it is the player B who needs to start the game. If there are more than 2 players, other than the player who has distributed the card, anybody else can start the game. Now the deck of cards needs to be kept like this way. You can start either from this side or from this side. It needs to be understood that from where you start, you need to continue at the same side. For understanding's sake, we'll say player A starts playing this format and player B starts playing this format. Now, player B has an option to either choose rank, the year the book was written, the chapters, the verses, or the number of books written by the author. Let's assume the player B says 5 books written by the author. Player A also sees and it's 1 book written by the author. So it's player B who wins. So player B gets a card. Once he gets a card, he needs to put it together like this way and put it at the end of his deck. Then a simple example again. If he says the year the book was written is AD 61, since he won the card, he gets to choose which parameter he wants to compare. Then, if it is assumed, if the player A gets 755 BC, which is older, BC before Christ is older than AD 61, this player gets the card or he wins the card. So he takes it like this, and he needs to put it at the end of his deck. And so on and so forth. The game continues till one of the player finishes his deck or the other player gets all the cards. Now there are certain challenges or certain scenarios where two or more players can get the same rank or same verse or same number of books written. Let's take for example. In such scenario, let's put three players. Player 1, player 2, and player 3. Okay. Assuming that player 1 has to say or decide the parameter. He decides to go with totally 13 books written by Paul. And if you see over here, player 1 and player 2 have the same number of books written. In such scenario, it's either player 1 or player 2 gets to choose the next card. Now you need to understand, the player who says first clash wins. Now if player 1 says books written by the author 13 and player 2 says 13 clash, it's player 2 who gets to choose the next parameter and player 3 loses his card. Now when he loses the card, in the next round player 3 does not play, and this set is neither player 1's or player 2's. Now it's player 1 and player 2 who needs to decide which parameter. Now even though it was the number of books which is clashed, the player can decide any one of these books. Let's say for any one of these parameters, let's say Micah, and we decide to go, or he decides to go with 710 BC. You need to compare 710 BC and 650 BC. So 710 BC is older, hence he wins this set of cards and also this set of cards. Now since he won it and player 1 has finished all his cards, he is out of the game. Player 2 continues, and it is he comparing with player 3, and he continues, or player 2 starts with the next round. I hope you all have understood this game and you all can enjoy playing this game. This game is available in Amazon as well as any gift store close to you. The intention of this game is for people who play over time to remember the books of the Bible in sequence, also to remember when was a book written, how many authors, which author has written which book, how many chapters are there and how many verses are there in this book, hoping that this be a blessing to those who play and they grow in understanding the word of the Lord. Thank you.